Hi guys, we have one more book to read tonight in our special Easter Treasury book. This one is called The Legend of the Sand Dollar, an inspirational story of hope for Easter. Wow, this one's going to have a beach in it and palm trees. I like that. Yeah. Why can't Mom and Dad take us to the beach? Carrie sniffled. It's only 2 days, whispered Margaret, and they'll come get us on Easter morning. Carrie tried not to cry. Every few years, her family went to Aunt Jane's house near the beach. I'll just think about playing with Cousin Jack, she told herself. I'll just think about the ocean. But her tears fell as the bus took her farther and farther away from her mom and dad. Early the next morning at Aunt Jane's, Carrie went out to look at the boats on the river. Carrie still missed her parents, but soon she heard the put-put-put of an engine coming toward her from upstream. Cousin Jack! Carrie! Jack hollered. Oh, it's so beautiful there. Yeah. What do you think about my new boat? It's not very big, she called back. Then it's perfect for you. He took her hand as she climbed on board. The river opened to the wide bay. Hang on, Jack yelled. Suddenly, the ocean lay before them, as broad as the sky. A small island appeared in the distance. See the island? Brand new book. The pages stick sometimes. Yeah. Waves lapped against the shore as Jack beached the boat. What's this? Carrie called, holding up a round object. That's a sand dollar, Jack answered. A sand dollar? Carrie cried. This isn't money. Right, said Jack. It's a starfish that used to live in the ocean. How did they get here? Carrie asked. When the tide goes out, it leaves sand dollars behind, Jack said. Why are they called dollars? She asked. Real dollars used to be round, said Jack, and they were made of silver. But sand dollars have value too. Then I guess we're rich, Carrie teased. In a way, he answered. The sand dollar tells a story, the greatest story of all. Look at the crab attacking the dog. Yeah. Can you see the Easter lily on that side? It's like a trumpet saying, Jesus is alive. See? Now look in the middle of the lily. There's the star from the east that led wise men to Christ. We remember Jesus' birth on this side too. See the Christmas flower? Both sides of the sand dollar tell the Easter story. See the 4 nail holes and a 5th hole made by a spear? These remind us that Jesus died for us. Look at that, see? Yeah. Now, hold out your hand, said Jack, and watch very carefully. He broke open one of the sand dollars, and 5 white shapes fluttered down. See the doves? This is the new life, the promise of Easter. As Jesus lives again, so can we, and these doves remind us to spread his promise and this hope to all people. Oh, no. Excuse me. Oh, no, Carrie cried. We dropped them. Jack wasn't worried. The high tide will leave more, over and over, and I have a whole bucket full back home. Look at her cute pink flip-flops. Yeah. As the tide rushed ashore again, Jack helped Carrie back into the boat, pushed it off the beach, and jumped inside. The boat crested the top of each wave, hung in the air, then swooped down like a ride on a roller coaster. But all the way back, Carrie could only think about the sand dollar and how valuable it really was. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That night, the moon rose full across the water. You know what? Asked Jack. Your parents aren't that far away, like the moon and the tide. But the moon is far away from the ocean, said Carrie. They're still connected, Jack explained. The moon's gravity is what pulls the tide high. From that far away, that's how the tide works, like how God can remind us that he is close too, whispered Carrie, thinking of the sand dollar. The next morning, Carrie put a sand dollar into her sister's hands. Happy Easter, Margaret, she said. Thanks, Carrie. Carrie smiled and asked, Do you see the Easter lily? An Easter lily? Yeah, and inside there are little doves. I'll tell you the whole story. As they waited for their parents, Carrie shared the good news with her sister. Soon Margaret smiled too. All about sand dollars. Sand dollar is the name for a marine animal that is related to the starfish. Sand dollars have flat, rigid, disc-shaped shells made of interlocked plates just beneath their skin. Living sand dollars are fuzzy and brown or pinkish. They burrow in sand, feeding on small organic particles. Just their skeletons or shells wash onto beaches. Well, yeah, that's interesting because when we find them, they're not alive because they're not fuzzy. It's just the shell is left.
Yeah.
Only collect sand dollars that are no longer alive. They look like white coins and are about 1 to 4 inches in diameter. Sand dollars are easiest to find at low tide along the edge of the receding water. The sand washes away from the buried shells as a wave goes out, and the next wave covers them with sand again. In North America, that's where we live, people who live along the coastline often recite this popular poem about sand dollars. There's a pretty little legend that I would like to tell of the birth and death of Jesus found in this lowly shell. If you examine closely, you'll see that you find here 4 nail holes and a 5th one made by a Roman spear. On one side, the Easter lily, its center is the star that appeared unto the shepherds and led them from afar. The Christmas poinsettia etched on the other side reminds us of his birthday, our happy Christmastide. Now break the center open, and here you will release the 5 doves awaiting to spread goodwill and peace. This simple little symbol Christ left for you and me to help us spread his gospel through all eternity. And it says author unknown. We don't know who wrote that, but that's a really neat poem.
Yeah.
So we can use a sand dollar to tell someone about Jesus, can't we?
Yeah.
Good night.